One. That was quick. Will Erokan, thank you for joining me here today. Did I say that right?
Yeah. That's how you say it.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show. A friend of ours set us up together, Jerry Fialka, and he was telling me he's got me all on to Marshall McLuhan, and now he's talking about this book, Naked Lunch, and William S. Badurek.
Burroughs.
Yeah. I'm trying. Yeah, William Burroughs. He's going on about that.
Yeah.
So he sent me to you, and so it's great to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you too.
So what's your angle? What's your area uh, of understanding? Because you're
Uh,
involved with Bob Dobbs.
yeah, I do know Bob Dobbs, and I've known him since about 2007. Uh, yeah, and I've met him in person a couple times, but mostly over the phone or over the internet.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Kind of cryptic.
Yeah, well, because he's been in Hawaii for a long time. I met him like right before he moved to Hawaii,
Okay.
in LA, and when I was living in the Bay Area, and then we went to Maui and hung out with him there, and then he came and stayed at my house for like a day or two in Oakland a couple years later. Yeah. But most of our communications are like on the phone or online.
Okay. Because I mean,
Yeah.
there's theories out there. Like, keep in mind here. Actually, let me correct something. Over your head, you had I'm probably wrong about everything. I'm the person who's probably wrong about everything. So,
Do you have Maui behind you? You have Maui right
yeah,
behind
man,
you.
dude, I love Maui. Maui is man. It's a
It's a
very
nice
special
place.
place. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
love it there. I mean, I'm very fortunate that when I go there, I know locals that live there, so it's not like I'm just a tourist, right?
Yeah. Do you go there frequently?
Oh yeah, well, now that I have a 2-year-old, not as much, but
Yeah.
and the whole pandemic COVID thing has made it a lot more difficult to travel too. So, but it
Yeah.
used
Well,
to
you
be
could you should meet Bob. You go hang out with him.
I would love to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't believe. So he lives in Maui.
Yeah. He lives in Maui.
Oh man, and I talked to Jerry. I was like, man, we gotta talk to Bob Dobbs. He's like, he's a hard guy to get a hold of, but if you talk to this guy, yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
I
great.
can get you in touch with him.
Oh man,
Um,
yeah, I appreciate that.
yeah. Do you know Nardwar?
Oh yeah, man, dude, he's Canadian.
Yeah. He's in Vancouver, right?
Yeah, I'm not too sure.
Okay. Well, yeah. Bob's friends with him. If you could
Really,
find him. Yeah.
he's one of the greatest interviewers of all time
Oh,
because
definitely.
he comes across as he's so aloof, but he knows the guests,
Yeah.
which makes
Yeah.
it for such an awesome interview, right? Because I learned so much. Like when he's talking to Snoop Dogg about his different smoke videos, I was like, oh
Yeah.
man, that is wicked.
Or the E40 one's really good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't I have to watch that one.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's done two with Bob. With Bob
Okay.
Dobbs. Yeah.
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 I gotta check that out.
Yeah. But yeah, so what do you know about Marshall McLuhan?
Man, well, okay, so the way I sort of understand with the world and how technology shapes us, it's like, whoa, it's not necessarily the things that we're seeing on our screen. It's the screen itself that's shaping who we are and what we're becoming as a society. And it's one of these things when it's like, now that we've inherited this technology, how can we forbid ourselves from it? How can we say no to it? It's like the farmer who picks up the hoe, the pickaxe, whatever. It's like, you think you want me to go back to the way it was? No way. This is so much easier. But it's also changed things and it's made it harder in many ways. Like, I don't know about you, but the amount of Zoom meetings I've done in the last 2 years has been exhausting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Well, and like, so as you're describing it, like, it made me think of COVID. Like, so say you wanted to stop using the screen, everyone would have to really feel the effects, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like trying to defeat COVID. Like, everyone has to wear a mask and everyone has to do all this stuff, but no, not everyone's gonna do it. So you're
Yeah.
gonna, yeah, like everyone has to agree.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
it it resurfaces the age old question of Thomas Hobbes or Rousseau, right? Like, who are we really internally? Are we people that have to be governed and controlled, um, deep intrinsically within our being, or are we meant to just be free, right?
Yeah. Or can we even be either?
Yeah.
I don't
I
know.
mean, because now, like, how do you see social, like, how do you see technology, that the way that we consume it with the, digital media and all this stuff? How do you see it, our connection to something like, say, a cell phone?
Uh, like, is there a choice, you mean, to using it, or
Just like,
I
okay, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it changes everything. Like, everything is influenced by it, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, yeah, without a doubt.
Like,
Sorry,
how would we have connected? Right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. We wouldn't know each other existed, so it wouldn't have happened. And but I mean, beyond that, just the way that you interact with the whole world changes. You know, the way you walk around and sleep and talk and everything changes.
Are you are you into Finnegan's Wake? Have you done that dive?
Just a little bit, mostly vicariously. You know, I've studied
Vicariously.
the effects, I'd say. Um, like, yeah, I've heard Jerry talk about it a lot and Bob talk about it a lot. And it's around me a lot, but I've never read the book really. I've just read little bits of it, but I've never like read the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel pretty familiar with it regardless.
And you say you studied the effects. So what can you tell me? What can you tell us about that?
Well, that's kind of a joke. That's like a Bob Dobbs joke. Like, he would say, if he hasn't read Margaret, he's like, yeah, I haven't read Margaret Atwood, but I've studied the effects. Like, he
Right. You
doesn't
see
he
how
doesn't
I
need to, you know.
right, right, right.
Yeah, yeah,
That is a
yeah.
good joke.
Or like Zizek had a line about the new Matrix, right? In
Mm,
his review of it, and you're saying like he doesn't even need to watch it
no,
because
he's
it's like
living
such
it.
a bad movie. Yeah, well, like he's like the fourth Matrix. It's such a bad film. I don't even need to watch it before I wrote this review. You know, so it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. He studied the effects.
That is, yeah, that's a great line. But I mean,
Yeah,
you could imply that too for, yeah, exactly how it influences conversation. Like, I don't watch the news, but I study its effects. Like, all people ever talk about is whatever the headline is. Like,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
can.
Exactly.
So what brought you into this world? Because I was watching your YouTube videos
Hmm.
and I was like, dude, what? Like, this is wild. Like, you know, this might be an annoying question, but it's like I'm trying to understand this, like, illusion of our reality. Like, it's satirical, I feel.
Yeah. Which videos are you talking about?
It was the most recent one. It came out like 3 days ago, and I was like, this is a test, and it was all like VHS kind of static sort of thing.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Called through the shadow mask, maybe.
It's the most recent one, episode 28.
Yeah,
I think
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
Shadow Mask.
yeah.
Yeah.
Through the shadow mask. Yeah.
And the
Um,
other series was Here Comes Everybody. But yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Shout.
yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah. So how did I get into like the world of Jerry Fialka? You mean, or
Yeah, yeah. Well, just
yeah,
this non like the a psychedelic world almost.
yeah. Well, so okay, so let's start with Fialka. So I was going to school at Evergreen in Olympia, Washington,
Yeah.
um, and I my friend Travis told me about pixel vision cameras, and I was taking a film class, and so I ended up getting a pixel vision camera and shooting a bunch of footage on it, like interviews and stuff, and everyone was like looking for film festivals, to enter their work into, and then I found his, and I called him up, and because he had his number on his website, I was like, yeah, is it? How do I submit? And he was like, just send it to me. Um, and then we had a conversation. He asked if I was a filmmaker, and I said vaguely because I wasn't really yet. Like I just kind of started,
Yeah.
and then I was in San Francisco at Craig Baldwin's cinema, and Jerry was playing the Pixel Fest. And this is before I finished this is before I submitted, I think. And he started talking about the conversation on the phone, like to the audience. And then he sat down next to me, and I was like, "Yeah, that's me." Um, and it kind of blew him away. And then we started talking from there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then yeah, that was probably in like 2004. And
So
then in
he kind of
2000,
pulled you into this world.
a bit, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Dude, he's pulled me into it, man. He's like a well, I guess you can't say this word anymore. He's like a crusader though. He's like, hey.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, no, I'd say like 100% he pulled me into this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
yeah. And I mean, I was interested in some of this stuff before him, but like, not McLuhan and not
Right.
Bob Dobbs. I mean, kind of Bob Dobbs, but not that Bob Dobbs. And yeah, and then so then in like 2007, I forget why. I think we were going to be down in LA anyways. And I told Jerry that. And Jerry was out of town, but he's like, you should go meet Bob. And so we went out to Santa Monica and met him and a guy named James Martinez, who he later who fell off. Do you know David Icke?
The name
That
sounds
he's pretty, wretched. Martinez, I think, got involved with like David Icke or something.
Oh, wasn't David Icke like a serial killer or something like that?
No, he's like a conspiracy guy from the 90s.
Oh, okay. It's a culty sounding name, so I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
gonna take a guess.
yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I met Bob Dobbs there, and we talked for a while, and he'd shot a bunch of other footage along with it, and made a movie called I'm Not Beer
I'm not.
about yeah. It's about Bob Dylan basically.
Oh, okay.
Like it's a play on I'm Not There, which was coming out that year.
Right.
Yeah. Did you see that one? I think Todd Haynes directed it or something.
It's called
It was different actors playing. Yeah, it's called I'm Not There. It's different actors playing Bob Dylan in different scenes.
No, I remember seeing posters for it,
Yeah,
but
and so like
I'm more, yeah.
in this movie, it's Bob Dobbs playing different people talking about Dylan.
Oh, I love that movie within a movie.
Yeah,
Within
yeah,
a movie.
yeah, yeah. And that's kind of how I got involved in all this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And like what is happening now? Like if Marshall McLuhan were alive today and saw, like, was he prophetic or what is
Yeah.
happening to us with technology?
I mean, yeah, I'd say he was definitely prophetic, right? Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't you? Um,
How could you not?
yeah, yeah, yeah. He's a
Right?
very smart guy. Um, but what's happening now? I mean, I'm not really commenting on anything happening right now.
What's that?
I have a hard time commenting on happening right now. It's easier to look
Mm.
at stuff that happened like 10 or 20 years ago, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't know. What's happening right now with the coronavirus with technology?
Just with our relationship to technology
Yeah, I mean, so
and information for sure.
yeah, so there's a guy named Robert Carr who followed JD Krishnamurti, or sorry, UG Krishnamurti,
Yeah.
um, and and he was quoting him, and he was saying, you know, like it's not you and I having a conversation. It's like Time Magazine talking to Life Magazine or whatever. And I'd
Yeah.
say that still kind of applies to the current moment. It's just it's not time or life. It's other stuff. It's like different sects of Instagram memes talking to each other or whatever.
Like it's becoming more divided.
Fragment,
There's
yeah, fragmented, I guess, or just like absurd. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yeah. I'd say
there's
more fragmented. That's what I'd say.
there's
Like
there's just a word.
there's more avenues of information now, right? That people that are becoming like more culty, um,
Yeah.
and so everything's getting weirder.
Yeah. And like really what it is there's so many divisions um that it's like how can you best explain it? But like there's that one joke. He's a really obscure comedian, but he's talking about the different religions, and he's like, "Are you a Presbyterian, Reformed, or you know normal?" And he goes on for 5 minutes, and finally there's a division, and then he's like, "Oh, you got to die because you're a heretic," and it's like it's it, it almost feels maybe it's kind of the inverse of that. Like we're putting so many divisions into groups that it's making it so hard to follow. Like the mind loves following patterns, but now with so much information being out, it's almost like it has to make split decisions. And there's a word I heard the other day, and I can't remember it now, but it was called like schismo. I'll look it up. But anyways, it's a weird word, but it's just this idea of constantly dividing down the line until it's
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That sounds about right. Uh, and just trying to like manage all the information to refer back to it quickly. It's very difficult.
Yeah. I mean, and I know you say you look 10 years into the past, but it's like let's look 10 years into the future. Nobody can know what 10 years into the future really is, but we can take guesses. We can guess that, well, probably won't be colonizing Mars in mass numbers, but there could be a person on Mars. This idea of there's this book I'm reading now or trying to read, at least understand. It's called The Doomsday Question. And it's
Hmm.
talking about the quotient of probabilities. And it's like, how close are we to the end? And it's like, are we closer than Caligula was? Like this idea, but that moment's already passed. They were never close to doomsday then because that moment's passed. So we're looking at now. And it's like, so could we still be here in 10 years or could we still be here in 300 million years? Sort of idea. Like,
Right, right.
not going to happen right now, but
Yeah, I mean,
what?
I'd say in 10 years there might be a person on the moon. I don't know about on Mars. You
Yeah.
know, like we still can't really do that one again.
Well, it's almost like why? Like, what? I,
Well, I
I
mean,
don't
why
know
not?
anything about astronomy.
Yeah, I don't know. But they can't really. hasn't really happened since then, since it stopped happening. You
Yeah.
know, and there's probably a reason to go there if you're going to go further out. Probably want to stop off there first.
Well, the other wild thing about space travel that they don't really talk about is that obviously there's pollution in this atmosphere, but there's like pollution in gravitational orbit. So it's like you have to time the rocket perfectly so it doesn't get hit by these fragments that are ripping around at like thousands of kilometers. That's probably misinformation. Maybe it's 300 miles, anywhere
Whatever
from
it is.
fast enough
Yeah.
to rip through a ship. And it's like, is there could there come a moment when we can't even travel out of the earth because there's so much debris?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I think that's where we're at now. Um, yeah, like they were talking about that a few years ago. Uh, that like China was blowing up their old stuff, kind of willy nilly, you know.
yeah,
And it was creating all this like space junk,
yeah.
and they're like, "Hey, you guys got to stop doing that." Um, but now there's a space junk satellite up there that's doing something, and it has like
Plus,
another. Yeah, I was reading about this the other day. It has like another craft next to it, and we don't really know what that's all about. But there's like, so there's the one kind of monitoring the space junk or dealing with it, but then there's this other one with it, and they're like, well, what's that one doing? You know?
it's just got a bunch of plutonium, and it's just like,
Yeah, it's doing something. Um, yeah, we had a guy living across the street from us who worked for SpaceX, and we got to go over there one time.
yeah.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Did it look like a nice place to work?
Um, no, I think it actually wasn't that. Not, you know, like I think they have a lot of austerity there.
Yeah. Have
Yeah,
you ever seen the Trailer Park Boys? You ever heard of that
yeah,
show?
yeah. It's a great show.
When they're like pretending they're astronauts and they're like, you don't own space. NASA owns space.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Like, I love that show. Yeah. But it's like, really though, who owns space? Like, who owns Antarctica? Who owns from here to outside of the boundary from here into orbit? Who owns it?
Yeah,
And
yeah. I
who
don't know
will?
who owns anything. Not
Yeah.
many. No.
I mean, you're right. Even the owning of land on Earth is pretty absurd, like as a concept.
Yeah, especially when you don't own any. You
Right.
know. Yeah, I don't. Um, yeah, it's really expensive in Vancouver, right? To own land. Is
Man,
that true?
it's yeah.
Yeah,
Well, most people don't even own land. Like, is a townhouse, townhouse condo, is that owning land?
I don't know. What about those feet? Did they ever figure that out?
Feet?
Yeah, the feet that
Like,
were that are washing up in Vancouver.
oh, that was a
The
while
severed.
back. I think that was a while back. But probably from offshore.
Yeah, yeah. When I was living in Olympia, we were hearing about that.
Yeah.
You know, the feet washing up.
I vaguely remember that. Man, what a like Vancouver. Have you ever been here?
Yeah, I've been there once. Yeah.
It's a beautiful city. It's like the the kid brother of Seattle. That's how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, when I went there, I kind of saw it as like the adult Seattle.
Really?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I remember thinking it was like a real city, as opposed to like Portland, which was like a child city.
Well,
You know,
I thought Portland was pretty big.
well, but like they didn't really have any
Oh, no
stuff.
culture
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. Like
museums
this
or
was our cracked Liberty Bell.
yeah,
Man, I got
yeah.
lost in Philadelphia so bad one time because where I'm from, there's not a lot of churches. And I remember by the hostel where we're staying, there was like, nice big church. And I'm walking with my buddy, And I'm like, oh man, we were 3 sheets to the wind, and we'd gone to this like underground party, and we're walking back trying to find a hostel. And he's like, "Hi, did you see any landmarks?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, there's a church right by." So I see a church. Man, we must have seen 8 churches before we finally made it back. Like it was bad.
Yeah.
There's moral of the story is there's lots of churches in Philadelphia as opposed to where I'm from.
Yeah, yeah. When I was in Vancouver, I was at the Canby. Do you
Oh
know that place?
man, Canby. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great spot.
Yeah, yeah. It was interesting. There's a lot of like I saw a lot of people shooting heroin.
Yeah,
Like just everywhere I went.
yeah,
And
yeah.
there's
It's
like
just out there, man. Well,
smiling and waving.
yeah, East Van is like particularly bad. Like it's world renowned.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It was and I went to a punk show and I broke my foot. I forget the name of the place, but it was an interesting couple of days.
What
Um,
year was that you were there?
2002 or three? No,
Oh,
maybe yeah,
so
2003.
okay, so what type of punk are we talking about here? Oh, you're breaking up again.
I lost you.
Yeah. Oh, there you are.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get the Wi-Fi signal here in
uh,
a bit.
yeah. How about now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
is this working?
It's probably. Oh yeah, yeah. No, you're good now. I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's my connection. So my apologies. That's very Canadian too,
Yeah,
eh?
it might be both of ours. To apologize
Yeah, yeah.
or
Well,
to
we
have
we
bad
have
Wi-Fi?
friends in Maui. What's that?
To apologize or to have bad Wi-Fi is Canadian.
What to apologize?
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Maybe bad Wi-Fi. I don't know about that one, but definitely to apologize. We have friends in Maui, and like just like I say it involuntarily. I'll just like bump into my mom or something, or I'll do something. I'll say, "Oh, sorry about that," and it's like I don't even mean it. Like I don't,
Yeah.
and I think that's why they find it funny because it's just like, when you say sorry to someone, it's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I didn't do X, Y, Z." This it's like, "Oh, sorry," like I'm not even.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's not even present.
Yeah. I mean, it's maybe it's West Coast too.
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps. Um, but so yeah, so Vancouver feet, severed feet. I mean, that's all I really want to talk about.
What do you think? What do you
Uh,
think that it was? Like,
Gangs, kind of. But I have no idea. Because they were all
well,
like the same
there's names.
size, right? Weren't they all the same?
How many feet were washing up here? I forget. Here,
It's a
I
lot.
I got a lot.
Yeah, and there's one a couple of years ago. Like it maybe it's not just Vancouver, it's Washington also.
Yeah, it's obviously some like offshore thing, but I got to look up how many feet we're talking about here.
I think like 10.
More than a dozen feet in shoes.
Yeah. And they're all like the
Oh,
same size.
what?
Or at least they were for a while. The there's a place I think in France where Garfield phones wash up.
Garf. Oh, like SOS kind of. Yeah.
No, like telephones that look like Garfield. Like Garfield the cat, like
Yeah.
phones.
Yeah.
And it's because a
Yeah.
container fell
A
off.
shipping container. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so like they just like wash up. Like one comes out of
Yeah.
the container and they just wash up forever, basically.
Do
Yeah.
you think that that's what this is? Like it was
Like
like
a container of feet?
or
I hope not.
something, man. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something weird. Um, but yeah, there are gangs in Vancouver.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was like a gang shooting 5 minutes from where I live at the
Yeah.
Toys R Us.
Yeah, and like when weed was illegal, um, there's like
Oh
smuggling from Vancouver into Washington, right?
yeah,
Yeah, a lot of that, and people are getting hurt.
which is
So I kind of
absurd.
associate. Yeah, it's absurd, but I kind of associate it with that. Like maybe it's kind of connected to that,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
but maybe not.
But I mean, we've legalized weed here, and it's like, why would you not legalize weed? Like legalize everything. Why are drugs illegal?
Uh, for various reasons.
Yes, but like obviously the war on drugs is not working.
Um, yeah, I mean, they've decided that it's over or whatever, right? Like it's done, kind of doesn't exist anymore.
The
Um,
war on
but it,
yeah.
yeah, but I mean, also you could say that it does work, but maybe not for what we think it's intended for.
What is
But
it intended for?
I mean, just to have perpetual warfare, you
Yeah.
know, works for that.
Can
Yeah.
can you end war?
Uh, no.
So that's just an innate characteristic of human
Yeah.
beings.
Can you end coronavirus or computers?
Well, they ended. Have they ended smallpox?
I don't think so.
But I mean, we don't. Yeah, right. Like we don't think about like
Yeah, but didn't it wasn't
virtually
did,
it's dead.
didn't it come back a couple of years ago at Disneyland? Wasn't there a smallpox outbreak or something?
The happiest place on earth, man.
Yeah, because of
Uh,
like people not vaccinating their kids. Um,
hmm.
Maybe it wasn't smallpox. It was one of those. Uh, I'm looking it up right now. Sorry.
Oh no, it's all good.
Was it smallpox? Measles.
Oh yeah, no, there
Measles.
was a measles outbreak at a high school right by where I work at. I work as a school counselor,
Yeah.
elementary school counselor.
Elementary school. That's cool.
Yeah, man, it's wild.
Huh.
It's wild what I'm seeing,
Yeah. I bet.
right?
I
Because
do
you're
a lot of.
seeing it at a different level.
Yeah. Do people have cell phones? Do the kids have cell phones?
Oh yeah, man. Like children are. It's disturbing how overlooked children are in society.
Yeah.
That's a value judgment. I'm just gonna say it, but like as an observation, it's kind of like whoa. But then you watch advertising, and it's like that's geared directly to children, and we're almost oblivious to it.
Yeah. So you have a 2-year-old?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got two 4-year-olds.
Okay.
Um, yeah. Does your
Twins.
kid? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
Um, does your kid's too young to like watch TV ish? Right?
Well,
No.
she's at daycare right now, so
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
don't do any technology at daycare. But
That's good.
mom works from home, and right, like
Yeah. Yeah.
she watches shows on like the iPad, and she
Yeah.
has
What
friends
sort of
over.
shows?
Uh, like Coco Melon
Go
and
on.
um, what's that? The Wiggles. I
Okay.
honestly, I watch these shows with her because
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to understand what's going on. Like as someone interested in Marshall McLuhan, dude, I tried to show her Fred Rogers. I tried to be like, you know, come on, right? Because
Yeah.
I love that show and I love him as a figure, Fred Rogers. Like he's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
that guy was legit. He was.
What about
Uh,
have you seen the Land Before Time sequels?
like, but they're so vague in my mind.
Yeah, so I saw the original when it came out when I was a kid. But when my kids were about like 3, they got really into the Land Before Time sequels.
Yeah.
Uh, and we watched them all. There's like 12 of them or something. There's quite a few of these films.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of them are made really poorly. Um, but they love them, and I feel like they did kind of get a lot about dinosaurs from them. Uh,
Yeah. Educational.
yeah, at least mild. Like there's something that was conveyed for sure. But it's
Yeah.
interesting to watch them because there's like frames where the characters aren't filled in.
What?
Yeah, like the one about it's called like the land of the flyers or something. Um, the wings on the pterodactyls occasionally are just like translucent, or like there'll be shots where just like the
Yeah.
background characters are missing, and they'll pop back in. Uh,
Yeah.
and they're all musicals too.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Kind of like
Well,
it.
I mean, but it's even just the thing itself, like how we consume information and technology. Like I have a cell phone, you have a cell phone. Oftentimes, or I don't know, maybe you don't have a cell phone,
I
but
do.
I have a cell phone. You do. Okay.
Yeah,
Right. I didn't want to assume. But the TV will be watching, say, the football game, and we're all looking at our cell phones at the same time. It's like we're not even engaging. And it's like how much we know the brain can't multitask. So again, what will the effects of that be? Are we becoming, as we've said, if you're okay guessing, I know it's in the here and now, but are we becoming more dislocated as a society? Or
yeah, more
or
atomized.
are we becoming more, because on the internet we do interact with people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So I'd say it's like tribalized, right? That was like the McLuhan kind of the electric environment tribalizes man. And I'd say that's definitely playing out with the internet because you're able to connect to people who are similar to you, but like through kind of a weird,
Yeah.
like bodybuilder forums or something like that. So then you have this like international network of people who are interested in the same thing. Have you ever been on the bodybuilder forum website?
Yeah, bodybuilding.com.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never really gone into it, but I remember like a long time ago, I'd be Googling stuff and it would kind of like someone would be asking a question on bodybuilder forum, and it would kind of link to that. And it's like, that's so fucking weird. Or like a Mazda mechanic forum. People would be asking about their taxes or something, so that, like people are on these forums and they're talking. And then like if you saw the that like Pepe documentary, they were kind of like tracing it back to bodybuilder forums. Like they were talking about that on there. It's like that's fucking weird uh, that it's popping up again. But yeah, yeah. I mean, the internet it atomizes everything for sure, and so it breaks down your like local society and the family, and bypasses the government or religion or whatever else, and just creates this new thing that's kind of like projected on top of everything else.
Do you think the new thing will be worth it?
Uh, like, will it be better? I think it's
Yeah.
already happening, and I don't know if that is better. It's probably like everything's based on really kind of flimsy, superficial connections, and then
Yeah.
people are going insane.
Well, I mean, I was thinking about this is obviously a touchy subject, but indigenous communities, and people are like, well, why do they live on reserves? And obviously, I don't know the answer to this, but from my limited understanding, it's community is huge. And if they're there together, they're in their community. And then it's like you look at our communities and we're totally, once again, like fractured. And it's like, are we happier? Or, are we happier as a collective or are we happier as individuals? And that's like a big topic right now. And, in all the literature and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the reason there's reservations is because of colonialism and and
Yeah.
all that. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
not. I don't think anyone decided to do that necessarily.
No, no, no. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but,
Because before that, yes, before that, they lived off the land. No, I understand that,
or
but
they just lived, like, in America and Canada,
yeah, they just
you
lived
know?
like
Yeah,
their idea of that's going back to the idea of owning land. Like they were
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
you want like the Huron when they met the French people, again, my limited understanding, but they were like, what you want to own stuff? Look what that's doing to you. And there are like tons of vagabonds everywhere and stuff, like French poor people and stuff. Like
Yeah,
that doesn't look like a great alternative.
yeah,
And,
yeah,
and those are in the records, right?
yeah, yeah. Um, but okay, so I hate to do this, but my job just texted me and I gotta go. I gotta go to work.
Okay. Well,
Uh,
hey, that was good.
yeah, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, sorry about that, but I gotta go.
No,
All
no,
right.
no, that's all good. Okay, we'll have you on again. Thank you.
Okay.
Take
All right, bye.